Imagine this. You're scrolling through Instagram, TikTok, or Snapchat, and you see someone living what looks like the perfect life, always smiling, always traveling, always winning. Their posts scream confidence, happiness, success, and for a second you think, damn, I wish my life was like that. But here's the truth no one talks about. If you met that same person in real life, away from the filters and the perfectly curated highlights, you'd probably see something completely different. Maybe their smile doesn't reach their eyes. Maybe, behind all those good vibes only posts, they're battling thoughts they can't even put into words. And here's where it gets real. This isn't just about them. It's about all of us. We all wear masks, whether it's pretending to be happy when we're not, acting confident when we feel insecure, or posting things just to impress people we don't even know. But have you ever asked yourself, why? Why do we feel the need to fake it online? Why do we act like everything's perfect, even when it's not? Science has an answer. Studies show that people who constantly project an idealized version of themselves on social media are actually more likely to experience anxiety and depression. Why? Because when we start living for validation, we stop living for ourselves. And the scariest part? We're not just lying to others, we're lying to ourselves. We get so used to pretending that we forget what it feels like to be real. We laugh when we don't mean it. We chase trends that don't even align with who we are. We trade real-life moments for digital approval, and the cycle never stops. But here's the million-dollar question. If everyone's faking it, is anyone even real anymore? And more importantly, how do we break free from this? To understand that, we first need to dive into the psychology behind these social masks, why we wear them, how they affect us, and most importantly, how we can finally take them off. So why do we do it? Why do we wear these social masks and project a version of ourselves that isn't completely real? The answer lies deep in human psychology. Since the beginning of time, humans have craved acceptance. In ancient societies, being part of a group meant survival, and being rejected often meant death. Fast forward to today, and while we no longer need tribes for physical survival, our brains are still wired to seek validation and approval from others. Social media has taken that need and turned it into an endless loop of likes, comments, and shares. Every time someone likes your post, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical linked to pleasure and addiction. This dopamine rush keeps you coming back for more, training you to constantly seek external validation. Over time, your self-worth becomes tied to how people perceive you online rather than who you truly are. And that's where the real problem starts. Instead of focusing on real happiness, people start curating their lives, carefully crafting an image that looks good on the outside but feels empty on the inside. Think about it. How many times have you seen someone post a candid laughing picture that was actually taken 10 times until it looked perfect? How many people go to restaurants just to take pictures of their food, not even enjoying the meal? And how many people go on trips, not for the experience, but to flex on their followers? This isn't just about showing off. It's about proving something to others and to ourselves. We want people to believe we're happy, successful, and thriving, even when we're struggling. And this obsession with image comes at a cost. Research shows that constantly pretending to be something you're not leads to emotional exhaustion, anxiety, and even identity confusion. When you spend too much time portraying a fake version of yourself, you start losing touch with who you really are. This creates a psychological disconnect where your online persona and real-life self feel like two different people. The more you fake happiness, the harder it becomes to admit when you're actually struggling. You feel pressured to keep up the illusion, even when it's breaking you inside. Social media has made it worse by creating unrealistic standards. Everyone looks like they're living their best life, which makes you feel like you're falling behind. But here's the truth. Most of what you see online isn't real. That influencer posting luxury vacations, they might be drowning in debt. That couple posting relationship goals pictures, they might be arguing off camera. That person flexing their dream job, they might be miserable inside. The problem is, we compare our behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. And because we don't see their struggles, we assume our own struggles mean we're failing. This constant comparison game fuels insecurities, making people feel like they're never good enough. But instead of confronting these feelings, most people just fake it harder, hoping that one day their fake happiness will turn into real happiness. But it never does. The more you chase external validation, the emptier you feel. True confidence doesn't come from likes, followers, or comments. It comes from being comfortable with who you are, even when no one is watching. The irony is, the people who seem the most confident online are often the most insecure in real life. That's why they need constant attention, reassurance, and validation to feel good about themselves. But real confidence doesn't scream. It's silent. It doesn't need an audience or approval. It exists regardless of who's watching. And this fake online persona isn't just affecting individuals, it's affecting society as a whole. We're living in a world where authenticity is becoming rare. People don't connect deeply anymore because everyone is too busy maintaining their brand. Friendships feel surface level, relationships feel transactional, and real conversations are disappearing. Instead of opening up about our struggles, we put on a brave face and pretend we have it all figured out. And the saddest part? The more we fake our happiness, the lonelier we become. Because even when we get thousands of likes, we still feel empty inside. Because deep down, we know the truth. We're not truly being ourselves. But if this fake culture is so toxic, why don't people stop? Because stopping means being vulnerable. It means admitting that you're not always happy, not always confident, and not always okay. And that's scary. Vulnerability feels like weakness, but in reality, it's the key to real connection. The strongest people aren't the ones who fake perfection. They're the ones who embrace their imperfections. But the fear of judgment keeps people stuck. No one wants to be the first to admit they're struggling, so everyone keeps pretending. But here's the paradox. The more real you are, the more people actually respect you. People crave authenticity because it's so rare. Think about the people you truly admire. Are they the ones who act perfect all the time? Or are they the ones who keep it real, who own their struggles, who don't pretend to be something they're not? The truth is, faking it is easy, but being real takes courage. And that's why most people don't do it. It's easier to wear a mask than to face yourself. But what happens when the mask becomes too heavy? When the pressure to maintain a perfect image starts crushing you? That's when people break. That's when anxiety, depression, and burnout take over. And that's when you realize no amount of online validation can fill the emptiness inside. So, if pretending isn't the answer, then what is? How do we break free from this cycle of fakeness and start living a life that actually feels real? The answer isn't in social media, it's in the way we choose to live offline. But how do you actually do that? How do you take off the mask when you've been wearing it for so long? The answer is simpler than you think, but it requires one thing: courage. The courage to be real, to embrace your flaws, and to stop living for likes. But how do you start? That's exactly what we're about to explore in the final part: how to escape the fake life and start living authentically. So, how do you escape the fake life and start living authentically? The answer isn't about quitting social media or isolating yourself. It's about changing the way you use it. Instead of letting it control you, you take control. The first step, self-awareness. Ask yourself, are you posting for yourself or for validation? Are you living for the experience or just for the content? Start noticing when you're curating your life instead of living it. The second step, detox from the noise. Take breaks, spend time offline, engage in real conversations. You'll be surprised how different the world feels when you stop seeing it through a screen. The third step, be unapologetically real. Share your wins, but don't be afraid to share your struggles too. You don't have to broadcast every weakness, but you also don't have to pretend everything is perfect. The irony? The more real you are, the more people actually connect with you. And here's something to think about. Social media isn't just shaping how we present ourselves, it's shaping how we think. Ever wondered how much of your opinions, emotions, and even your self-worth are influenced by the content you consume? It's deeper than you realize. That's why you need to understand how social media controls your mind, your emotions, and your decisions without you even noticing. I actually made a full video on this called How Social Media Controls Your Life. And trust me, once you watch it, you'll never look at your phone the same way again. I'll link it in the description. Before you go though, let's do something different. Instead of just liking this video, drop a comment and be real for a second. What's one thing you've posted online that wasn't 100% true? No judgment, just a moment of honesty. Because the more we start real conversations, the less we'll need to fake it. And of course, if this video hit home for you, hit that subscribe button, because trust me, we're just getting started.